Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Welcome back to the VML, sponsored by Wizards of the Coast and marginalized genders within the Magic community. Started with 128 players, and since this is week 8, but it is week 1 of playoffs, we have cut that field down to the top 32. Cannot wait to kick off these playoffs, but before I get too far ahead of myself, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Nicole Callahan, also known as Lady of the Crease, and I am joined here by the fabulous Misha. Misha, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Nicole. I'm so excited for finals. It doesn't feel like it's already finals time, but here we are. So, yeah, I'm great, and I'm happy to be here and happy to see our top 32 duke it out this week.
Yes, and they are playing for a lot. There's a lot on the line this season. The top 32, not only are they battling for sweet cash prizes and everything, so thanks again to Wizards of the Coast and GLHF for their support. This year, we have our first ever VML Championships. That will be happening the mid-August, August 19th and 20th. Now, we have taken the top 8 from seasons 8, season 9, and whoever the top 8 will be here in season 10, and we're throwing them into a tournament. Day 1 will be Swiss, day 2 single elimination, playing draft and standard. So really excited to have some limited action here on the VML, and the top 2 finishers from that VML champs will be going to the Pro Tour. So much on the line here, besides the fact that we do have some nice, regional championship invitations and things, a smattering of those things about, but really everybody wants to go to the Pro Tour. So
I mean, that's always the goal, right?
Right? That is the end game here. So for these players, they're playing for a shot to get onto the Pro Tour. So exciting. Again, this is our top 32. It will be followed by our top 16 the following week, and then the top 8 the week after that. But first, we have to make a top 16. Well, why don't we take a look at our top 32 metagame breakdown here and see what these players decided to bring this week. Well, 5-color ramp, a deck that I feel like a lot of people weren't on board with. We saw a lot of Esper Legends, Esper's Control, a lot of like mono red aggro, which kind of fell off here, but people are starting to maybe realize the strength of Atraxa. What do you think is the change here, Misha?
Yeah, I feel like 5-color ramp, it just well against aggro. Herd migration gives you a little bit of life gain. There's just a lot of stuff that you can do. You can have your blockers out there. If you get that topiary stomper turned on, that's a great blocker. The invasion, it's just very versatile against both aggro, mid-range, and with the Traxa coming in, it can even withstand some of those control decks because there's just lots of ways to get more Traxas and get more some of those top end things because you're gonna have the mana to play them. So it's a versatile deck and it's performed well. And I think a lot of the players were just kind of feeling out like, are there going to be a lot of Esper Legends? Because Esper has been the leading deck coming into it. And so I think a lot of them hedged their bets on what's a deck that can take down Esper, but also withstand aggro and make it through. And I think a lot of our players either came down on 5-color ramp or the more of the control decks with Esper control coming in second.
All right, Misha, I'm going to put you on the spot. Is 5-color ramp the best deck in standard right now?
Oh, I don't know if I'd say that. I think Esper Legends really it has a couple legs to stand on, but 5-color ramp, it's up there too. It's close.
It's close. It's all cyclical. Yeah, it's best deck this week, maybe not next week. You never know, right?
Yeah. Every deck has its day.
Every deck has its day, and we are going to find out what decks will be having their days today as we jump into our first match here. And really quick, before we get into our first match, I just want to shout out 3-time VML champion and VML co-chair Caroline Party. Happy birthday to you and to Sam.
It's Caroline's birthday. Happy birthday.
I outed you, Caroline. Everybody else, happy birthday, Caroline. So, but now back to the matters at hand. We have Emma here from Division 16, 5-2 record, making the playoffs, playing Azorius Soldiers. Now, this is one of the we have mono red aggro in standard, and then we have Azorius Soldiers. Those are the two top aggro decks. What do you think sets Azorius Soldiers apart from a deck like mono red aggro as an aggressive deck?
This deck in particular, it has life gain and it has a lot of flyers. So just the evasion and being able to just kind of like stay alive even when you're starting to get low. That Dinnick does a lot of work, and having like this deck plays I think 3 copies of Harbin, being able to send all your creatures flying over the top of other people, I feel like that really sets it apart from some of the other aggro decks.
For sure. Like Harbin can make some quick kills out of nowhere. And I like the thought process for her picking this deck this week. She says, thinking about switching to a different deck to avoid being metagame, but was comfortable with this deck. This deck was her wheelhouse, so she stuck with Azorius Soldiers here in the playoffs. Do you think that there are some points to be given to comfort with a deck on top of like being try to avoid being metagamed or to play a deck that you just think is better positioned?
I mean, from personal experience, I've tried to avoid being metagame before, learned a deck that was probably a little higher than my capacity to learn in a week, and it didn't pay off. So sometimes just having that comfortability, knowing when you're in a tight spot, action to take because you've been there before, it makes a difference. So getting metagame is always a risk, but that familiarity is also just really important.
All right, and let's see who Emma's opponent is this week. Out of Division 8, we have Nicole, and she has brought Mono Black Midrange. Now, this is a deck that has surprised me showing up on the scene now that Invoke Despair is no longer in the format. What are your thoughts here on this deck?
Kind of like Nicole just said in the chat, this deck is a hard meta game against the soldiers deck. So it has a lot of removal. That Path of Peril is really good against soldiers. It's got life gain. It's got some graveyard hate. So it's it's a pretty strong deck. It's specifically strong against aggro decks in particular. So yeah, I think, like Nicole said, is that, she definitely went for something that was strong against soldiers.
Yes, and cards like Shieldred the Apocalypse can drain quickly, kill quickly, and block very well. So let's see how this matchup is going to go down between these two competitors here in our first match of the top 32. We've got Emma on Azorius Soldiers against Nicole on Mono Black Midrange. We'll be watching from the side of Emma. She's on the bottom of your screen. Nicole, she is on the top of your screen with the Mono Black Midrange deck. And any thoughts on these openers? It looks like both players with 5 lands, 2 spells.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Nicole's first mulligan. Unfortunately, going down to still getting 5 lands, but I think that's a little bit better for her. I do think Emma's keep was a good one. Just know, it's aggro. It's if you got stuff to play, you can play it.
All right, kind of like that 1 drop, 2 drop, then just more 2 drops. So
Yeah.
curving out, getting onto the battlefield, and Nicole probably very happy to see back-to-back spell draws here. And a Protect the Negotiators is going to take care of that first Phyrexian Flesh Gorger from Nicole's side. Do you like just kind of slamming that counter magic there?
I do. I think that was a good move. It applies more pressure to Nicole, just being able to keep something off the battlefield. I know a lot of the um, aggro decks, they don't necessarily play much counter magic, at least in the main board. So I think it's good to use it when you can.
And now we see a Gix Yawgmoth Praetor on the side of Nicole, and that 3/3 gonna stonewall all of these X1s out there on the battlefield on Emma's side. So no attacks and just passing the turn back. And we see a Tenacious Underdog and the one of Gix's command in hand for Nicole. And the question is she going to cast it?
The part where it says destroy all creatures with power 2 or less is pretty strong right now.
Yes. And we see Guardian of Nubinalia saying, you know what? I'll see y'all later. I'm staying here. So discarding a card, getting indestructible, but tapping down. So Gix with lifelink from that Gix's command, able to get in, dealing 5 damage and gaining 5 life, drawing a card, a go for the throat. And Harbin coming down doesn't look so good on a pretty empty battlefield.
Yeah, and it's kind of rough knowing that there's double go for the throat in Nicole's hand because this is now not even a trade.
Oh boy, yeah. And Guardian of Nubnalia going to discard Denick and in response, go for the throat, going to take care of that. So Nicole able to take out both of Emma's creatures in one fell swoop here. Tenacious Underdog, the follow-up. 15 life and a land being drawn. A tap land, so can't even play the Denick from the graveyard. Emma's in a tight spot here. I don't know that there's much that she can do.
Yeah, and that Gix is given a lot of card draw to Nicole. So this we do have a creature to come out. However, we yeah, that's a game one for us there.
That it certainly is, as Nicole going to take game one down in this absolutely just deciding fashion, just taking that one, not taking a breath, just took over the battlefield, had all the correct answers at all the right times, and showed the strength of this mono black deck.
Yeah, that mono black deck was definitely designed to hate the soldiers deck.
Yes.
There's no way about it. That was definitely how it was put together.
And now, looking at the sideboard, we saw the Protect the Negotiators come out and no desire for anything like the um oh my goodness, the Brutal Cathars from Emma. So not really looking to remove things or keep things from the battlefield, just kind of sticking to her aggressive roots as we look over to Nicole's sideboard here. And we see shaving a Gix. Duress is not very good here. So taking out one of those as well.
Wax coming in.
Yes. Wanting all of the cut downs, but going down on the tenacious underdogs as well as the Shieldreds.
The tenacious underdogs, they do have a great aspect that when they're in the graveyard, you can, just pay 2 life to have them come back and you're going to get the card draw. But they are a 3/2. They will die to some of the blockers that Emma can create. So maybe not always the best option when you have some other things on board.
Yes, and I mean, Nicole having those 4 main deck Path of Peril and now 2 Gix's Command in the main as well. That spells trouble for any low curve aggressive deck. As we see our players starting off here, Emma hoping to have a little more luck on the play as she plays out a Guardian of New Benalia to start things off. We see a March of Wretched Sorrow in Nicole's hand, as well as a Go for the Throat, a Gix's Command, and a Glistening Deluge. So a lot of removal. A lot of removal.
Yep. We do have a Surge of Salvation on Emma's side, which will come in handy against some of that. But yeah, Nicole's hand is pretty chock full of removal pieces.
Yes, as we see Glistening Deluge going to take care of the board that Emma had built. So Guardian of New Benalia coming out. Take 2.
Yep.
We'll see if this one can get some things done, as Emma does have a grip full of spells here, starting with Invasion of Gobakhan. Gonna take a little look, see if Nicole wants to deploy anything here before Emma gets to tax the heck out of one card in Nicole's hand.
Looks
Let's see, we are
yes,
in
the
game.
march is coming down, but that Surge of Salvation will be used to protect that Guardian.
So Invasion of Gobakhan, taking a look, and Emma probably not liking what she is seeing. The Gix's Command will receive the tax and deciding whether to attack invasion or face, and it looks like going for the invasion. So dropping that down to 1, and oh, Shieldred the Apocalypse is here. There is a Destroy Evil in Emma's hand, and could not try to get that off the battlefield any faster.
Yep, the evil was spotted and destroyed.
That it was. So it looks like, thinking about this March of Wretched Sorrow, we'll see what Nicole decides to do here. How important is it to keep this invasion of Gobakhan from flipping? And Nicole thinks it's pretty important, but Zephyr Sentinel is here to save the day and protect that Guardian of New Benalia.
Oh, and of course, Zephyr Sentinel getting that counter takes it right to 5, still targetable by cut down.
Yes. And now, although side by side, it's another land for Nicole. So Gix's command, and that's it on Nicole's side. It's a pretty powerful card. We'll see how resilient this Azorius Soldiers deck can be. There is a Valiant Veteran in the graveyard as well to be able to pump things up, and an
Yep.
Odawara as well.
Yep, and going to get that Gobakhan flipped and doing some damage to face. That's really all Emma could ask for right now.
Yeah, we see Happy to cast the Light Shield Array. That will pump up the creatures that have attacked at the end of each turn, and you can also sacrifice it to give your creatures indestructible and hexproof. So Phyrexian Flesh Gorger, just as a 3/3. So it has been prototyped. It is not the scary 7/5 Menace Lifelink, just a 3/3 Menace Lifelink here.
That's yeah, that even just being a 3/3, it's not bad having the lifelink aspect, but this is a lot of damage once it's bounced.
Yes, it certainly is. And Emma deciding what her options are here. There is also the option to pump with a Valiant Veteran as well and offer a trade for the Resolute Reinforcements, perhaps. But the Soaring City, just too tempting. Gonna pay that ward equal to Flesh Gorger's power, which was 3. So Emma down to 17. Nicole, she's at 14 life here. And it looks like interested in enlisting again. Important to get those scries. Take a look at what's on the top of the deck. And we see a Sky Strike officer in the Mirrex. Mirrex quickly to the bottom, but that officer is staying up on top. Nicole's at 5. And that is an untapped land. And Flesh Gorger is going to come down as a 7/5 this time.
Yeah, that's it's a little scary now with the potential of 7 lifelink. It's a tough spot for Emma to be in, especially with that Gix's command now on the horizon.
Yes, we see this is a good amount of damage, but even with the blocks, it's not quite lethal. This is a big attack here. Getting in for 10, getting to scry 2. Tokashia's welcome and negate on the top. And it looks like Emma says, I'm interested in those top. So negate staying up there. Let's see. Oh,
Yep. Going to discard and give indestructible. So keeping a wide board.
yes. And now that Gix's command, like killing creatures that are power 2 or less, not as much of a concern for Emma this time around. Glistening Deluge was the
Yep.
draw. Light Shield Array will be sacked, and that will do it. And Emma is going to take down game number 2. So we will have a game at 3 between these two players. Emma on Azorius Soldiers and Nicole on Mono Black Midrange. Taking a look again here at Emma's sideboard. She's thinking, I'm staying pat.
That yeah, that invasion of Gobakhan really was a critical component in that last game. That light shield. Oof.
Now, if you're Nicole, do you take a second thought on re-adding some of these Path of Perils to the deck, since it destroys creatures' mana value? More concerned about mana value than power, like the Gix's command is?
I think I would. I think that path of peril really is kind of critical here since most of the powers are 2 or less.
And it looks like
Or
Nicole will agree, keeping two in the deck here. And oh, there they are in Nicole's opening hand as things kick off here. Top 32, our first matchup between these two players. Whoever wins here is moving on to top 16, and whoever loses, hopefully, we see them in season 11. Now, Emma has a choice here. Guardian of Nubenalia can come down once again, or can hold up a Resolute Reinforcements, and it looks like that's what she's going to do. And not deterred by the open mana, Graveyard Trespasser coming down on the side of Nicole. That 3/3 is quite a blocker and a little difficult to remove from the battlefield once it is stuck.
yeah, that's a difficult card for Emma to come up against, especially on turn 3. It blocks well, it eats graveyards. It's a strong card in Nicole's deck.
Yes, and we see Cut Down going to take care of that Sky Strike officer. But before it can, going to tap down three soldiers, draw a card. We see Surge of Salvation, the draw there. That was a big player in game number 2 here for Emma. As Nicole gets across, she's going to take Emma down to 16 life. And Nicole's still at a very healthy 21. Valiant Veteran is going to be the play here, pumping up the team. Go for the throat, though, going to quickly try to take care of that Valiant Veteran, and that will be surged away. So 4 damage coming across to Nicole at 17 life. Emma still at 16, but that Path of Peril was backbreaking. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and then this graveyard trespasser coming in and eating the veteran.
Yes, that does not feel good from Emma's side. So drawing another Sky Strike officer. So she is able to double spell here, playing double Guardian of Nubenalia. But we see in Nicole's hand a Gix's command, another Path of Peril, and a whack. So that's a lot of hate. That's a lot of removal.
Yeah, that that second path is I kind of predicted, Path of Peril is going to be really strong against this deck and it sure is.
We see Oh, we see whack also in hand, and your creature can be as indestructible as you want. That is not going to stop whack from killing, as it is a -4, -4. We see that Graveyard Trespasser getting in for 3. Sky Strike Officer and Recruitment Officer looking to rebuild the board here. Hopefully, draw some cards, find some more soldiers, be able to play things out. Oh, but unfortunately, that Gix's
Yeah.
command in Nicole's hand is going to say no. And is this Graveyard Trespasser just going to solo Emma this game?
It's looking like it could. Um even just taking the cards out of the graveyard and getting those ping by ping. Or sometimes you just play a Sholdred and that'll do it too.
Yes, I think that. Yes, and we see activating the ability on the recruitment officers, but we know what is in Nicole's hand, and that would take care of the final life point for Emma as Shieldred comes down, and that will do it. We see Mono Black Midrange taking down Azorius Soldiers 2-1 here in the first matchup of the top 32. Good games to both of our players. Congratulations to Nicole for moving on to the top 16, and a good season to Emma. You played well. I'm glad you stuck with your deck, and we hope to see you again next season. What a match!
That was really cool. I won't lie. Nicole metagamed very hard and it paid off for her.
It absolutely did. You could see she was just sitting there at some points with like 4 removal spells in hand and just being like, whatever you play, it's going to die. So
Yeah.
and that's not
Congratulations to Emma though, because even getting one game in that matchup, like that's really good when the you're playing against was designed specifically against your deck.
so
So
Emma played very well. She played very well, and hopefully we'll see her again next season. I'm looking forward to that, and best of luck to Nicole in the top 16. It's super
Mhm.
exciting. And speaking of exciting, we've got more matchups to take a look at. Our next matchup is a blue-white control. We've got Azorius control here with GDinut, and I they have just I this is a control deck. It's Eternal Wanderer, Wandering Emperor, Memory Deluge, uh, Ossification, Lay Down Arms. I think they're playing four creatures. They're just playing the ambitious farmhands.
Yeah, I mean, a 1/1 that, can potentially transform, but you do kind of need other creatures to transform it.
Yeah.
But it grabs you a land, and that's what's really important.
See, and you know what? I always thought that was very interesting. A lot of times in these blue-white control decks, if they have creatures, it's always like some ridiculous, like 7 mana, blue, bounce 3 islands and return it to your hand and draw 3 cards and do all these crazy like Hull Breaker Horror, like Pearl Link ancient things. And so I think it's very unique that these blue white control decks are just playing ambitious fire. It's just like, no, I'm gonna make sure I make my land drops and maybe get in there a couple times, ping a couple times. But I I love it. I love that they brought this deck. I think it's phenomenal. And she oh they GDinut seem to have picked a deck that will beat their opponent's deck as long as they don't draw all the disdainful strokes.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
Disdainful Stroke does hit, mana value 4 or more, and, that is a lot of what's in this deck, so
oh, for sure.
I
That is a lot of what we're seeing here. I
oh,
see one Hullbreaker Horror kind of hanging out in the
yeah,
sideboard
there's one
there.
in that sideboard, some
There's
Seed
one.
Sharks, there's
Some
creatures
seed
on the
sharks.
side. I was
There's little things hanging out, but
I was going to say, I was thinking about it. That farmhand actually is quite vital for this deck because getting those planes helps the lay down arms hit larger things. It helps the ossification since you need a basic land. So in a way, it's not a combo, but it is a vital piece just in order to get the basics.
oh no, I'm stoked to see them bring this deck. I think this is phenomenal. I'm so glad that there's a a, a blue white control deck in standard once again. I feel like
Mhm.
it's an archetype that kind of fell off for a little while. So happy to have it back and happy to see it piloted by GDinut this week here in the top 32 of the VML. So let's take a look at their opponent's deck. We've got Jess, and she is on Esper Midrange. Bloodymessjess, a VML tried and true here, making the playoffs once again. And this
If I
Esper
could jump in
Midrange,
for a moment.
oh, please.
Yeah, so I was actually honestly surprised after the remark of let's not draw disdainful strokes that this was not oops, all disdainful strokes. So
Right here we have Bloody Mess Jess with oops, all disdainful strokes. Sorry, I'm only playing counter magic. So, but we are seeing it's I see that she's calling it Esper mid-range. It looks very much like an Esper Legends deck. It's just any legend you could possibly think of. Denick, Rona, Thalia, Rafine, even a Toulouse in there. Some Urtai, some Shieldred,
Yeah, I mean,
all the good
I
stuff.
think I would probably call this Esper Legends, but Legends can go mid range. I've seen it go aggro, so maybe she's playing the mid range version.
Right. I think it very much depends on style of play as well. And we do see those four disdainful strokes hanging out in the sideboard there. Um, and a negate as well. So coming with some counter magic in the sideboard, as well as 3 make disappears in the main. So might dissuade GDinut from casting their bigger spells before they can pay that make disappear tax. This will definitely be very interesting to watch these two players go at it, blue white control and Esper mid range. I feel like I should make myself comfortable for this one. So
Yeah, control versus mid range. We might be here for a minute.
listen, and if I have to be here, I'm glad that I am here with you, Misha.
Oh,
So
same to you, Nicole.
well, we have it. GDinut, they are on the bottom of your screen. They are our blue-white control player on the top of your screen. We have a Bloodymessjess, and she is your Esper mid-range player. Let's get things started. As GDinut looks like they're keeping their 7. It's 5 lands, Soul Partition, and Sunfall. Now, with these Azorius control decks, you want to make every land drop. Do you like this keep?
It's a little risky. I mean, having the soul partition helps a lot with tempo. And ooh, double sunfall. That's spicy. So I think I'm okay with GDI nuts keep here.
Oh, I like it. And probably a relief to not see a 2-drop from Bloodymessjess's side. We'll see Gix be the first thing coming onto the battlefield. That's quickly going to be soul partitioned away as a lay down arms is the draw. And just another land and go from GDinut as Thalia comes down on Bloodymessjess's side to mess up GDinut's day, except they drew the one creature in there.
Yeah,
Well, not the one
he's
creature.
here. He's ready to go fetch that plains for you. And now the lay down arms
Ambitiously.
gets even stronger to take out
Yes.
Thalia.
Yes, it does. That worked out so nice. That worked out so nicely. Ambitious farmhand doing work, taking care of Thalia, the thorn in every control player's side since 2008 or something, 2010. I don't know. How
Ooh.
long's Thalia been around? Some time.
Well, Shouldred, never what you want to see, but it gets a little better when you have an Eternal Wanderer waiting.
Yeah, I see. Oh, and ambitious farmhand gonna get in. Eternal Wanderer plussing on that Shieldred. And I wonder,
One by one, that farmhand might do some damage.
right? It's gonna tink, tink, tink. It's like getting poked over and over and over again. All right. And Shieldred
Oh,
is back.
but
Shieldred
look
is
at this. We have four. I was gonna say we have quite a few planes, so that lay down arms can actually do a decent amount of work now. But just going to Sunfall while we're here.
yeah, and that makes for the 3/3 incubator right there. Gonna
Oh,
wait in the sidelines.
yeah. I mean, GDI has the mana to flip it, so not a bad way to spend it.
Yeah, we see Rafine scheming seer on the side of Bloodymessjess. And another late, oh my goodness, another sunfall. So many sunfalls.
Yeah, I want to say I think GDI only ran 3 Sunfalls. That's, I believe, all the Sunfalls in the deck.
Yes, that is it. We should not see any more. Uh, Bloodymessjess down to 14. GDinut still at 16. So it's looking like GDinut is the beatdown here.
Yeah, I think GDINet's doing all right. It's a pretty nice board. A couple of double strikers, a 3/3. I think they're doing okay.
Yeah, and the Wandering Emperor is the draw here. So nice sneaky flash play if need be. Just gonna get in the red zone. We see the 2 double strikers and the 3/3 going at it. And that's going to take care of the Denic, although a little bit of life gain. So Bloodymessjess to 9, GDinut at 16. And usually when you're the blue-white control player, if you are the beatdown, you're in a pretty good position if you feel comfortable enough to be the one that is attacking. Now, this is interesting. GDinut deciding to hold on to the Wandering Emperor here. Do you think that they think they don't need to commit any more resources to the battlefield right now?
I would completely agree with that. It's better to have the Wandering Emperor as a surprise for later rather than playing it out now against potentially, know, the way Jess tapped, I would assume no counter magic, but better to keep it safe rather than, use it and lose it.
Yes, and we'll see. Bloodymessjess seems to be backed into a corner here. Going to play on Adeline as she concedes. So we will move on to sideboards as Azorius Control takes down game number 1 here at the top 32. And moving to sideboards. So any thoughts on what to bring in and what to side out? It looks like
I,
getting
I
rid
think
of
I
thirst.
agree with the ossification because I know in Jess's deck there are a few Laurens, so that can just pop the ossification, bring something back. So not the best way to remove in GDI Nuts deck. Looks like GA Nut also took out the Thirst for Discoveries. I think that's interesting because GDI Nuts deck does rely a lot on drawing cards and filtering through. So gonna bring those back in actually. But I'm trying to see. Yeah, I don't know if I'd bring too much in aside from just taking out some of those ossifications.
All right, and we are ready to move here to game number 2. And one of those ossification will be in GDinut's opening hand here. So
Oh, and
take it
the
away.
farm man decided to show up, make an appearance.
Farmhand MVP from game number 1, and Druid Island was gonna play the plane. Oh wait, nope,
Never
gonna
didn't
play the
have the
planes.
island, right?
Always had the island, plain mono white, pretty much. We'll see ambitious farmhand coming on down, getting the planes out of the deck, and probably gonna just stare at Denick as Denick gets into the red zone here, especially with this Rafine Scheming Seer coming down as a follow-up. So it's a pretty good 1-2 punch, Denick into Rafine, being able to pump up that life linker, but only discarding a
Interesting.
land.
I'm gonna assume Jess might be flooding a little bit, electing to discard a land and not actually pump Dinnick here.
Yes, and we'll see. The ossification going to come down to attempt to take care of the Rafine. Ward will be paid, and Rafine is not GDI's nut issue for the moment. So, like you said, there are some Lorans in.
Oh, speak of the Lauren.
Oh my goodness, what timing! Lauren of the third path going to release the Rafine back out onto the battlefield. Denick going to get back into the red zone. It'll be very interesting, like you said earlier, to see what Jess decides she should discard here. And it looks like it will be yet another land. So, like you said, maybe she is flooding a bit.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what's so nice about Rafine. It helps you dig to so that you're not flooding anymore. But GDinut going to soul partition the Rafine, say, "Get out of here. I don't need any more digging for Jess."
Yes. Now you can cast it again and all that, but it's just going to cost you.
Mhm.
So this
And
Denick getting in no loot this time.
yeah, I think that was the big key is, if Jess is getting all these lands, she can keep them, right? Don't need a don't need her drawing and discarding more lands.
Oh my. And now we see a 5-drop and a 6-drop planeswalkers, both in GDI Nuts, and now Teferi Temporal Pilgrim. A card that I feel like if you can untap with it, can take over the game very easily. But Disdainful Stroke, going to keep that from happening here. Just probably happily seeing that one hit the graveyard.
Yeah, I won't lie, that was GDinut's biggest worry was, all the disdainful strokes, and we've seen one. I'm gonna assume those all came in on Jess's sideboarding.
Yes. Oh, we see Toulouse coming down here, conniving as well. Now, interesting. I saw Bloodymessjess just had each player draw a card as well. So I wonder if Jess is looking to hopefully close this game out sooner rather than later and wants the resources for it, as we see double destroy evil with no targets at the moment in GDI's hand, but an eternal wanderer will fall to a second disdainful stroke. And it's almost like GDI Nut saw the future, said, please just don't draw all of your disdainful strokes against me. And Bloodymessjess went and played all of her disdainful strokes against GDI Nut. So
Yeah, that's a little rough, especially when you've been waiting for that sixth mana to play your 6 drop just to get it, countered.
oh, that is painful. And Bloody Mess just looking to take advantage of this at a healthy 27 life. Gonna get in with everything, willing to trade that to lose for that ambitious farmhand. So the land will go to hand. And it looks like deciding to draw once again with Shieldred out on the battlefield feels pretty good. Gaining up to 31. GDI Nut down to 6 is going to be able to kill the Shieldred before drawing, and is going to draw a Spar's Headquarters. So has a Wandering Emperor in hand here, but is also able to play out a Teferi. And it looks like GDinut will just pass the turn. Any thought on just casting Wandering Emperor on their turn instead of waiting?
Um, It might have.
Oh,
Ooh, it yeah would have been the safe bet. But we know that now.
uh, and there is Shieldred hoping to take care of the last two life, and
They don't even need to wait for
that'll do
next
it.
turn with that Lauren forcing the draw.
And I'll tell you, GDinut know a thing or three when they saw those four disdainful strokes in Jess's sideboard. They knew that is the one card they had to avoid, and Jess had not one, not two, but three disdainful strokes in that game number two here. So totally a backbreaker, you know, for GDinut. Jess just wants to see more and more disdainful stroke. Just I'm playing disdainful stroke typal deck here. This is how this is happening, and so Bloodymessjess hoping for more of the same. GDinut hoping to not see that card at all in this game. And let's see how
Um,
game number three.
in my defense, I was just being a smartass. I didn't expect it would actually happen.
So,
Yeah,
so
I almost feel like GDinut foresaw the future of don't let Jess draw the disdainful strokes, and here we are. But this looks like a pretty good starting hand for a GDI nut. We see a lot of lands, the search the castle. Unfortunately that Dinnick's out there. That farmhand can't poke through the Dinnick, but not a bad start.
here we see the yes, that thirst for discovery will most likely be the play. I would imagine here. Rafine going to be the play from Jess's side. So again, a really powerful 1-2 punch. Denick
I
into
think the
Rafine Iganjo.
the Aganjo going to be the play.
Ooh,
Get
I
that
like.
Dinnick out of here.
And then Otawara is the draw as well. And it looks like GDinut would like to start with a thirst for discovery and will be discarding a basic land. So drawing a Sunfall. So no need to worry about Ward with a Sunfall. Gix
Yeah,
Yawgmoth Praetor, excuse me, is coming down here. Rafine conniving and
yep, and
discarding another Rafine.
we see GDI nut ready with that plains. I'm gonna assume that Sunfall's coming down since Jess is tapped out. Well, not tapped out completely, but not enough mana for Disdainful Stroke.
Yes, going to take advantage of those windows, and GDinut able to resolve that Sunfall with two powerful cards on Bloodymessjess side. And GDinut did see the discard of the second Rafine. So Bloodymessjess hoping to not see a repeat as Rona will be coming down here. Herald of Invasion, Adeline, the follow-up. So rebuilding that board pretty quick on Jess's side.
Yeah, honestly, GDI nut has an interesting position here with 3 Teferis in hand.
That is a lot of Teferi. And it looks like opting to just draw a card instead of making a blocker. Any thoughts on that?
I do find that kind of interesting. I think a blocker, would at least potentially held the Rona back. Not that, Rona may have been attacking or not, but could have provided just something to dedicate to the board. But, a card is a card.
Perhaps counting on throwing away that first Teferi anyway, having two more in hand. We see Denick coming down here from the graveyard. Pious Apparition, gonna pump that Adeline. And it looks like Adeline is going to get in and attack this Teferi.
Yep. Make a creature. It'll be 5 damage total. So Teferi gone.
That does soak up 5 damage from GDinut's life total, so still at a very healthy 18 life. We'll see if they decide to. It looks like Otawara coming down as a land. This Teferi, I'll be very interested to see how they choose to play it. Rona going to loot here, drawing a card and discarding. It looks like another land, a Takanuma, hitting the graveyard. And Teferi is going to minus and make that blocker this time. So we'll have two blockers on hand on GDinut's side, or a Destroy Evil available as well. This is a very close game.
It really is. I think if I'm GDinut here, that Adeline, that's a big 4/4 vigilance creature creator. I think I'd be looking at using the destroy evil on the Adeline. Well,
Yes.
maybe I spoke too soon.
And now we see Shieldred. The option of playing Make Disappear, now that the Plaza of Heroes is down, might take care of certain things. Denic Pious Apprentice Apparatus, excuse me, is looking to get in here. And will.
Yep. The children being the enemy number one, getting the destroy evil. Looks like Jess might be searching for some kind of counter spell, but not finding it.
Yeah, digging for something, perhaps some way to just close out this game before GDinut can start to take over. Another card like another Sunfall or something like that would be absolutely terrible for Jess. So we see Teferi number 2 going to be taken down here, and starting to pump up that Teferi spirit token. It does have vigilance, so it's getting into the red zone here, knowing that a thirst for discovery was the draw.
Yep, going
Search
to
the
get
Count's castle.
three more counters if it resolves.
Yes. And it will, as the plains goes to the graveyard, and this 3/3 is now a 6/6. And the question is GDinut going to follow up with anything here? Has the option of double spelling with its soul partition, ambitious farmhand, can keep up the make disappear, or has the option of leaving up the mana to flip that 3/3?
Yeah, I think if I'm GDinut, I might, just keep the mana to flip the 3/3. And Soul Partition, I believe, is an instant, so there's a chance to play it, or if necessary, the make disappear on Jess's turn.
We'll see. It's still doing some digging on Jess's side. We'll see what she finds here. That's 6/6 is nothing to sneeze at. Denic Pious Apparition going to make yet another clue as well. So Denic doing some work with that card draw.
Yeah, these clues are really coming in handy for Jess. Not only getting to draw with Rona, but getting to just, pop a clue and draw when necessary.
Yes, and it looks like getting into the red zone will be Denic. So Spirit Token just going to jump in front of the 1/1 that is made off of Adeline. So just a tap.
Who would have thought a 3/2 flyer would be pretty good?
We see a Loran coming down here. Be a wonder. It looks like going to try to take care of the unflipped incubation, and that spirit's just going to keep on growing. Those 1/1s make for great chump blockers. We'll see if Teferi can push some damage through here.
Gonna get the farmhand out, go grab a plains, and then yeah, I think it's time to make maybe another spirit. Get something on the board. Obviously, that 3/2, we don't have anything to help with that just yet, other than the soul partition to send it back. But
Yeah, and being at 10 life, GDinut needs to start considering their life total a little bit here, as a swing back, even a full swing back, would be a lot of damage. And being able to save things with that Plaza of Heroes on the side of Bloodymessjess, she'd be risking a lot less getting into the red zone. We'll see what she decides to do here, as GDinut seems to be on the back foot. We'll
yeah,
see.
if GDinut doesn't find some kind of board wipe, be it the Eternal Wanderer, be it the Sunfalls, it looks like Bloodymessjess is starting to kind of run away with this. And I don't think we've seen a single disdainful stroke in this game, this game yet.
Right. And oh, here's a Rafine. That is a big card. And it's going to just let it happen, make disappear. Can't really do too much about that one. And we'll see how aggressive Jess wants to get here. What do you think?
I don't know if I would send the Adeline just because we do see a 7/7 on GDinut's side, but might as well send the Dinnick and start ruffling through. We're still gonna get that 1/1.
Still gonna get the 1/1. We'll see triggers stacked correctly so that conniving for 2. We'll see what is going to be. It looks like one land and one spell hitting the graveyard here. Soul Partition is going to finally be priced into taking care of this Dennick. Dennick has done a lot of work and a lot of damage, and finally GDinut needs to use this Soul Partition that they have been clutching for a long time on this card. What do you think that means?
I mean, I think it just means that GDinut recognizes that, life is a resource, but it's only a resource until you're dead, so you got to preserve it a little bit. Unfortunately, that will bounce the Dinnick back to its front side, so instead of it going to backside being 6, it goes to front side for 4.
Yes, and this will be interesting. Here comes Teferi. And could make a 2/2 and flip the farmhand here. Oh, but
Ooh.
there's that disdainful stroke. A bit of waiting, hadn't seen it. Now it's there. Going to make just pay the tax on this disdainful stroke, maybe with the make disappear. Looks like they're considering it. They're considering just firing it off, saying at least then they can't draw off one of their clues. Or oh no, they are going to sack a ambitious farmhand here. Ambitious farmhand just doing some work.
Absolutely. Yeah. GDinut definitely wants that Teferi to go through.
Yes, I was worried that they weren't going to casualty it. So I was looking, I was like, Bloodymessjess does have 2 mana open on her
Mhm.
side.
Oh,
Oh,
but who who needs a disdainful stroke when you just have secondary counterspell in hand?
yes.
Oof. This is not looking good for GDinut.
It is not. And that 8/8's gonna get in.
Yeah,
And it's just a
it's
matter of who's chump blocking.
yeah. I mean, there is the option if just wanted to block all, but with that many creatures, there's no reason to sacrifice your whole board.
Yes, we'll see. It looks like, I mean, Soul Partition is a starting point, but oh, Sheoldred, oh, that's so painful with the Rona out on the battlefield. That's quite a bit of life, and playing a second Plaza of Heroes to be able to protect any of the legendary creatures out there, as Bloodymessjess does have 4 mana up. Rafine is the only one getting in here, as well as the 1/1 Adeline token that will be jumped in front of once again by the Spirit token. But Rafine getting in for 3 after just discarded 2 non-lands there, and at 7 life. Is there anything GDinut can do to get back in this game?
I think I think GDinut was really needing to draw a Sunfall at this point because it would be able to, Jess would be able to save something. Well, I think she has enough mana for the Plaza still, but then you could Soul Partition and maybe try to, stay alive. But I think a Sunfall was what we were really looking for on GDinut's side.
Oh, and it looks like letting the guard down on the plaza, but oh, going to Otawara, the spirit token, and that is going to do it. We'll see. Bloodymessjess, just she is going to take this one down, 2 games to 1. Esper midrange over Azorius control. That was quite a matchup.
Yeah, it really was. I think the control deck should have been maybe a little more favored, but just played wonderfully. Those disdainful strokes really came in when they needed to.
Those were so
And
painful.
yeah, But that was a
So
great match.
right. Good games to both of our players. Congratulations to Jess for moving on to the top 16 next week. And congratulations to GDinut for making the playoffs, which is a feat all in within itself. And we hope to see you again next season, season number 11. And then I cannot believe this is we're halfway through the night already. Watching these players battle it out. A big thank you again to Wizards of the Coast and GLHF Good Luck High Five for their amazing support of the VML. Make sure you are following Good Luck High Five. Megan and Maria are just phenomenal people. They are just so funny, and I adore both of them. And if you don't listen to Good Luck High Five, you're dumb. So you need to follow them and listen to them. And what are you doing? So how's that for a pitch?
They are a hoot. I agree.
I adore them. And I also adore getting to see a little more VML playoff action here tonight. So we are it's week 8, the top 32, and we have Honk, and she is on Selesnya Enchantments. Now, this enchantment deck, it comes back and then it goes away, and it comes back and it goes away, and it's, you've either got like sagas or, runes, and there's all these things. I feel like I've seen like 7 iterations of this deck, and it's made a resurgence again lately, and a big based around this hollowed haunting card, and a few sagas, Jeskai Naturalist, a lot of your normal players. And what are your thoughts on Selesnya Enchantments? As I feel like this is like the pinnacle of mid-range decks.
I I love this deck. It's one of my personal favorites. I just love Selesnya. I like making, just playing creatures, making them grow. Most of these creatures are enchantments themselves. So that's what's so great about them is that you have a creature and you're an enchantment and we're growing and maybe some life gain, maybe some card draw. It's hard to beat. I love this deck. It's personal favorite.
No, and this is a deck that you can see get out of control really quickly. It can just kind of blow up in your face, especially with like cost reduction and counters, and all of a sudden there's just 9 flying spirits attacking you for 58 damage, and you're just like, where did that come from?
I
I
remember the rune version where it was so much card draw. Those runes, they drew you so many cards. Now that those are gone, the card draw is a little harder, but yeah, it gets crazy. The Hallowed Haunting, once you hit that magic number of 7 enchantments, everything's vigilant, everything's flying. You're making spirits. Wow, does it go crazy?
definitely very excited to see this one in action in the hands of Honk. They said that they really enjoyed playing this deck, so can't wait to see her playing this. And let's take a look at Honk's opponent. It is Skybilz, and
One of
she
our
is
own.
on Orzhov Control. Yes, a fellow VML commentator. I absolutely adore Skybilz. I've known her for quite some time, and she is an amazing content creator. Side note, just make sure you're following her, twitch.tv/Skybilz. She's phenomenal. So, uh, but bringing Orzhov Control. So, this is, again, I feel like this is a deck we've seen grow over the past few sets, where a lot of players were taking the best parts of mono white and then like slowly like added black cards to it. And we see like cards like, oh, I see quite a few planeswalkers. We've got, Vraska, Sorin, both iterations of the Emperor. We have Wandering Emperor and the Eternal Wanderer. There Kaya's in there. So a lot of very interesting cards. One of the ones that stands out to me the most is Concealing Curtains, a card I feel like we saw quickly in standard and kind of went away, and is sort of like making a resurgence now, where it's sort of like that duress effect where it takes something but it will replace. And having a 3/4 attacker is with menace is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, even just the front side coming out on turn 1, it's a great blocker.
Yes, shutting down a lot of the aggressive strategies in the format. Will it shut down the Selesnya Enchantments deck is the question.
I guess we'll just have to find out, won't we?
Yes, we will. We can find out right now here. Top 32, we have Honk, and she is on Selesnya Enchantments on the bottom of your screen. And Skybilz, she is on Orzhov Control on the top of your screen. It looks like our players are ready to go. Each one looking at a 2-land, 5-spell hand. Very different decks, though. So,
Yeah, so for Honk, me looking at this, great. Snap keep. No thoughts. Skybilz, that's a lot of high mana cards. The Go for the Throat is great, but when your next card isn't till mana value 4, that's a little risky.
yes, and Commune with Spirit's going to start us right off on Honk's side, and she is going to take a Naturalist very quickly. One of the backbones of the Selesnya enchantment deck just is Jukai Naturalist. You untap with that, this deck can go absolutely wild.
Yeah, especially when you have double Generous Visitor coming out on turn 2. That's 2
Yes.
counters, which, Skybilz recognizes that's a problem. So, oh, that's a great draw for Skybilz.
Yes. It's a good draw, but missing third land drop for it. So would probably love to trade one of these 5 drops for a swamp right now. We see Jukai Naturalist going to pump up this Generous Visitor, and the train is going to start to roll here. Spirited Companion. Skybilz can't stop the discounted price on that companion, but is going to take care of the Naturalist before any further discounts can be had by Honk. So she's just going to have to settle for this 3/3 Generous Visitor getting to the red zone. So Skybilz down to 17, drawing that third land. So thankfully only missing it for 1 turn, but Skybilz still needs quite a few more, having only 4 and 5 drops in hand, as Honk is going to take a second here, Commune with Spirits once again, revealing 2 Spirited Companions, an Ossification, and a Plains, going to take the good doggo, and we'll see what the follow-up will be. Will it just be to play out the doggy, or will we see teachings of the Kieran come down?
Yeah, honestly, there was even a consideration for the Catilda, maybe.
Yes. We see the doggy drawing a Razor Verge Thicket as an attack for 5 is going to get across. And this Phyrexian Flesh Gorger, not a land, but something that Skybilz was able to cast here for its prototype cost of 1 black, so a 3/3 Menace lifelink with a ward
Yeah,
that,
definitely, a little scary that, it's a great blocker, but with that ossification coming down, that opens the door wide open for Honk to get big and get through.
yes, and it looks like that is exactly what she is going to do here. Gonna get back in that red zone. Skybilz down to 4, drawing that 4th land. That was big here. Depopulate is going to take out Honk's board. So Skybilz holding on at 3 life, needing to take a damage to cast that. Catilda is the follow-up though, and as a 3/3, Skybilz needs to have another answer, and it looks like with that 5th land, she will.
Yep, that Sunfall coming down, wiping the board, and, it's a 1/1, but it is a potential creature.
Yes, and holding on at 2 life. It looks like Rite of Harmony going to be cast in response to the teachings of the Kieran 3rd chapter. So it will trigger. Rite of Harmony will draw a card. Ossification is the draw, followed up by a Hollowed Haunting. So it looks like that will draw another card with Rite of Harmony. Destroy Evil. Honestly,
Those
a,
are
a
some great draws for Honk personally. That Destroy Evil being the perfect counter for the Shieldred, Ossification for, pretty much anything else that might come through.
yes, and now, Skybilz does have a 1/1 token that would be able to block, but it looks like going to start with an ossification to take care of this Shieldred. That
Yep.
will be the case.
Will make that Hallowed Haunting Spirit. So that's the one upside of playing the Ossification over the Destroy Evil is starting that count for the Hallowed Haunting.
Yep, and now the Kieran Touch Orochi gonna get in, and it looks like Incubator going to come alive, activate. Now, this Destroy Evil is able to be at instant speed as well. So if there are any more issues from Skybilz, Honk will be able to take care of it And Skybilz sending the good game at 2 life, knowing that there is nothing she can do to get out of this one. And in convincing fashion, Selesnya Enchantments is going to take down game number 1. So we see some borrowed times coming in very quickly on Honk's side. Do you see anything else that she has consideration for? It looks like borrowed times for restoration of Iganjo.
Yeah, I think the restoration's a little slow, um, for Honk. Ooh, that Lauren coming in, that is a good counter to some of Honk's removal. Unfortunately, we only got 2. We coulda used, maybe all 4 would have been, good, but, you don't know what you're coming up against, so.
That's true. Different decks every week here on the VML. We have weekly deck submissions, so you can change up or stay the same every single week. But those Lorons should be able to do some work as they do take care of a majority of Honk's deck. So they're definitely
Ooh,
a high
that's
cost. Oh.
with that Commune with Spirits being in hand, I think I would risk it
Yeah.
on Honk's
It's like,
side.
I'm up a game. I'm on the draw. Like this is the kind of hand you talk yourself into, and it looks like Honk has talked herself into it.
Mhm.
So she is going to keep this one land hand, and obviously never didn't have it. Almost missed there.
Yeah,
Almost
almost, but,
missed,
yeah,
but
shuffled
didn't.
away a few more.
We see that first lane coming down, and a Jukai Naturalist is going to be the play. And we saw,
And Skybilz says no right away.
yes, that's a scary card if you are on the other side of a Jukai Naturalist turn 2, because you
Oh,
know that everything else is coming out cheap and quick.
absolutely. I love that card. It was, it's just a key player in any enchantments decks right now.
Speaking of
Ooh.
enchantment, Skybilz with a wedding announcement of her own. So some enchantment action happening there. That 1/1 token gonna get into the red zone, not willing to make a trade, and Shieldred is going to be the follow-up. And it looks like Skybilz is taking a commanding lead in this game here. As
Yeah, Honk missing that third land drop was very painful. But getting that restoration out will go grab one, so that at least next turn that's not going to be an issue.
yes, we'll see. So Honk, no need to worry about Miss Land drops anymore. Needs to start to worry about surviving. So Loran is going to come down and take care of the restoration of Iganjo. So no chapter 2 or 3 here for that. As Honk, she's fallen down to 10 life. So it's scary. While Skybill's still at a very healthy 22. Wedding announcement flips, and Shieldred is draining, and all these things are happening. Ossification in hand, double ossification in hand for Honk. So, and it looks like that will be the play. One coming down, taking care of Shieldred, the other coming down, taking care of Loran. So Skybilz is left with a 2/2, has a tenacious underdog, and is going to just it's going to rush it out there. So it looks like blitzing that tenacious underdog, having so much life. It was the
Yeah, it's
play
a
to make.
resource. It's card draw, and it can come back.
Yeah, we'll see if Honk can stay alive here at 2. Catilda has lifelink, but is now in the graveyard. And Generous Visitor,
Yeah,
a tenacious underdog, is going to get into the red zone, and that'll do it for game number 2 here. As Honk takes 2 damage, dropping a 0, and she's going to head to sideboard. So we're headed to a game number 3. That was a very fast game too. So as convincing of a win as we saw Selesnya Enchantments put up in game number 1, Orzhov Control took that one down in very convincing fashion. Any idea on who has the edge here in these post sideboard games?
um, I'm starting to think that Skybills has a pretty strong deck here. I think the first game it was just, you know, a little slow, not getting, maybe what she needed at the time. Um and that second game, Honk just, missed that land drop. It was a very critical time to miss a land drop too. I think maybe could have held on a little bit longer. So I think these decks are, you know, pretty even. If I'd say if I had to pick, I think Orzhov may be a little bit more favored.
Oh, and then interesting, another heavy hand on the side of Skybilz, but she is going to ship that one back and keep a 3 land temporary lockdown to populate and Sunfall, drawing a second temporary lockdown as we see Honk here with 2 pair. The Jukai Naturalists into Teachings of the Kirin, and these Jukai Naturalists are going to heavily discount the rest of Honk's hand as Skybilz does not have anything that she can do here on turn number 2, so it's just going to pass the turn back. Commune with Spirit's going to kick off, but not find that 3rd land, which is, I'm sure, what she was looking for.
Yeah, unfortunately, that land was definitely what Honk was needing. And, it's a good thing that we got all four of those off the top because it looks like there were even more non lands coming down.
Yes, and temporary lockdown going to take care of Honk's battlefield temporarily. Um, as of right now, and we see another temporary lockdown in hand for Skybilz, but probably not wanting to play that. No, it looks like it is that important to get this Jukai Naturalist off of the battlefield, knowing that Honk that she's missed 2 land drops now. Oh, Beseju. Now the question is Honk is not going to play this Boseiju out as a land, is going to hold on to it for the temporary lockdown. Wow. I
And
guess that's crazy.
yeah, I would not have expected that, but we'll see how that works out.
We see Eternal Wanderer is going to come down here on the side of Skybilz. So, I mean, a 6-mana Planeswalker when you're just kind of Honk's side of the battlefield looks so sad. It's just like 2 lonely, very, very lonely lands. But we know this Boseiju is about to do a little work and fill things up. Gonna give Skybilz another land, but I don't think Skybilz particularly needs another land. So, as much as Honk needed these enchantments back,
Oh, absolutely.
we'll see a land is the draw here. Teachings of the Kirin going to put a counter on something. Now, I imagine a lot of counters going to be distributed at points during this turn. Ossification will be the starter as Generous Visitor pumps up the spirit and going to take care of the Wandering Emperor for now. We see double Teachings of the Kirin and another Ossification in hand. So second Ossification is going to be the play. Generous Visitor. Oh,
Oh, yeah, it's always difficult when these
yeah.
counters come up. You don't want to put the counter there. You want to put the ossification there. So
Yes. It's like, no, I wanted to, but the counter resolves first, and then the ossification resolves with the trigger,
I am
takes
very
care of that.
grateful Arena does
Oh yes.
correct you.
I I am too. I am too. I would have had a great many things, I would have died to a great many more times if Arena wasn't like, "Hey, are you sure?"
Yep, absolutely. This is a difficult position because we know the Skybills can flip that incubator. Um, the Hallowed Haunting will come out.
Yes. And it depends. At 5 life, it's definitely a scary place for Skybilz to be, even with 2 sweepers in hand, even with the 2 depopulates, because that's all she has. That's it. She needs to use these here. She needs to use a sweeper on a single creature, knowing
Yeah.
that this teachings is going to flip into yet another creature here. And there is a Catilda in the graveyard as well.
Yeah, this is rough for Skybills because that Catilda, it gives flying, isn't that correct?
Yes.
So yeah, even having that creature on board for Skybills, if Honk manages to take the turn with a non-summoning sick creature and Skybills does not have a instant speed removal, that could easily be game.
Yes, it could, and it's definitely 100% a very scary place to be as we see the second depopulate having to come down here. So sweeper after sweeper after sweeper. We'll see if this Little 1/1 is going to close the gates for Honk here.
I just want to say how impressed I am how that Honk has just like, managed to come back after getting stuck on 2 mana for such a long time and holding that Boseiju.
Oh my. And so we see another sweeper in Skybilz's hand. Gonna get in for 4, and Honk goes, "Yeah, sure." Yeah, that screams, "Yeah, I have another sweeper." So that is Honk is gonna say, "What else can I do? I'll take it." Drop to 21, and it looks like Restoration of Viganjo is gonna help build the battlefield back up here as well. Taking a little looky-loo at what is in the graveyard. Spirited Companion, drawing that card, super important here.
Yeah, if Honk can manage to just get a few more things dedicated, that way if there's, instant speed removal for just one creature, there's more options, more cards in hand.
Absolutely, and we'll see there's a lot of cards, so putting a lot of things out on the battlefield here.
It's risky because like
Oh
we
my
just
goodness.
see.
That is painful. Now, we will see this Restoration of Iganjo flip here as well, and Honk still is at 21 life, so Skybilz just needs to get into the red zone. Borrowed Time, an interesting draw here as well. But this 3/4, it's there. It's ready to roll.
Yeah, if I'm Honk, I think wait. I hold the borrowed time. I see what Skybilz does next to see if I can get my
Ooh.
Catilda down and, just send it because that sends it over Skybilz' head. So I think I just hold the borrowed time and hope Skybilz doesn't have a response.
Yeah, and it looks like Skybilz just a swamp in hand. So Honk says, "I'm going for it here. I've waited quite a few turns, and I'm going to get in, and it's going to work. It's going to connect, and Honk will take this match down 2 games to 1 over Skybilz in this top 32. So Honk moving on to top 16 once again. She's played in VML playoffs in the past, so congratulations to Honk, and good games to Skybilz uh, making the VML playoffs once again. She seems to be in them every single season, but well played, and can't wait to have you back for the next season. Good luck to Honk in the top 16. And wow, that was quite a back and forth. All of those, there's so many sweepers.
I was gonna say, I don't know if I've ever seen that many board wipes go off in one game before. That was highly impressive. I'm honestly just so impressed that Honk literally was at 2 mana for so many turns and holding that Boseiju, but it paid off. The patience paid off.
Yeah, the Boseiju helped clear off one of the temporary lockdowns, which is kind of like one of the sweepers. It's kind of a sweeper. Like when you're
Yes.
playing, I think it's a sweeper, I guess. So, but what a match! That was quite a match, and well played by both of our players. They both played phenomenally, and that was just a great matchup and
Yeah, and I
a
want to
great
say
day.
congrats to Skybilz because Skybilz went 7-0. So that was a great season.
Right, she was undefeated this season, so I which is it's just a feat in itself. So yes, congrats Skybills and congrats Honk, and that brings us to our last matchup of the evening tonight. So I hope you haven't had too much Orzhov because you got a little bit more to go. So, but first, we're going to take a look here at Cora, who has brought Orzhov midrange. Now, this is a lot closer to a mono white deck splashing black. So a lot more of uh the mono white mediums. I see Elish Norn in there, some lay down arms, which obviously if you're not playing a lot of planes, you can't be playing that card, or you shouldn't be playing that card, I suppose. So a lot of the black I see is in the sideboard here. We see duresses and cut down, so a lot of like removal and everything. What are your thoughts about these mono white like splash black decks?
Well, it's for me, it's kind of interesting because most of these Orzhov mid-range, basically plain milk with a splash of chocolate milk in it, has been for breach. breach the multiverse. And we see in Cora's deck, the breach is in the sideboard. So I found that very interesting knowing that breach was one of the main reasons people are playing this deck, and this isn't even a main board breach one.
Yes, and I mean, there's the only black cards in the main is Kaya Intangible Slayer. Um, but like you said, there's two breach the multiverse in the sideboard here. A lot of black cards are just like in the sideboard. I can't wait to see Elish Nord, Mother of Machines in action. It's a super fun deck. I love the interactions between Sarah Paragon and the sacrifice lands. Being able to gain the life when you fetch the land, and then you gain another 2 life from the Sarah Paragon when it leaves the battlefield. So you gain 3 life fetching a basic land and everything. So Sarah Paragon and the Obscura storefronts, fun playing together. Very excited to see this one in action. So Cora was our number 1 seed. She is our number 1 seed going into this top 32 match out of division number 7, also 7-0 on the season. So she did wonderfully, as did every player that managed to make the playoffs. It's really a very difficult thing to do here in the VML. So 128 players, we cut down to 32 here, and that's what we're playing at now. As
I
we
remember
look,
doing it when there was only 64, and I thought that was hard.
it was hard.
I mean, true, but it's gotten harder.
It has only gotten more difficult here as we take a look at the other side of this matchup. We have Mel, and they are on 5-color ramp. So this 5-color ramp, like, it's Atraxa, mommy's home. That's just
Well, don't say that too loud. Elish Norn, it was on the other side,
that
so
is true.
there's mommy on both side.
And I will say, Elish Norn is definitely a big card here because of the not allowing triggers enter the battlefield triggers. So that just absolutely shuts down anything. Invasion of Zendikar. It shuts down Atraxa. It shuts down Atali. It shuts down.
Yeah, I think the only few things I can see right off the top of right off the top would be, prevent it with the make disappear. I think there's a couple go for the throats in the main board, or you're gonna have to do the sunfall and just wipe the entire board. So there are some answers in this 5-color ramp deck, but they're kind of few and far between.
Yeah, it's too big for a Lithomantic Barrage when in the sideboard. So, yeah, it's just. Whew. So I mean, well, there is just the one of, and then one in the sideboard for Cora of the Mother of Machines. So we'll see how this works out between these two players as we get into our final match here in the top 32 VML week number 8. And we will be watching from the side of Cora. She is on the bottom of your screen playing Orzhov Midrange, and Mel, they are on the top playing 5-color ramp. And we see definitely some interesting openers. So Cora going down to 6, but very happy with this 6.
Yeah, I was gonna say I missed it. Like that was very quick how fast she sent that first hand back. But yeah, this seems like an okay 6.
We see Mel keeping 7. It looks like 3 lands, but a lot of the colors: Sunfall, Leyline Binding, Atali,
Oh,
and
and we get
Invasion.
that topiary stomper off the top, so Mel's gonna be okay.
Right. The Topiary Stomper into Invasion of Zendikar feels pretty good. As we see Ambitious Farmhand, the MVP of the night, coming in and grabbing planes for Cora as she passes the turn back to Mel. We'll just play a forest and pass the turn back. So it looks like a lot, like both of our players are waiting to like the mid game, late game to really do anything here.
Yeah, Corey gonna get through for that one bit of damage with the farmhand.
Oh, Field of Ruin. Going to take care of I believe that's a Spar's headquarters.
Yes,
And
so that is Mel's current only source of white mana.
So it looks like Mel saying, you know what? I'm just going to replace it with another white mana. So
That
ley line binding. White's a very important color in these decks.
it is. The only bad part is now Mela can't Topiary Stomper on 3.
Oh, that
So,
is tough.
yeah, so that's going to be a little difficult. Not getting that 4/4 out, being able to go into the invasion on 4, that might cause some problems.
Yes. And we see another Spar's headquarters going to come down here. Wandering Emperor going to be the play on end step here from Cora. So it looks like she's going to go down, make a 2/2. And will this be enough to draw out one of those leyline bindings from Mel?
No, Mel's like, "That's fine. I've got stuff that can, hold it back." Mel's okay for now. It is a little scary, you know, having an open board against that, though.
Yes. It's definitely going to be interesting here to see next turn whether Mel is going to decide to Invasion of Zendikar or Topiary Stomper or something else, as well as Sarah Paragon looks like it's going to be the play on Cora's side right now. And now, is this going to be enough to tempt out one of those leyline bindings?
If I'm Mel, I think I would definitely be doing it. Just because that's really rough getting the Field of Ruin back, taking out that second Sparas.
Yes, it's definitely painful. We see Leyline Binding going to take care of the Wandering Emperor. Now we know that there is a second copy in Cora's hand. Mel drawing a land here, so is going to happily Invasion of Zendikar. We'll find 2 more lands and may be able to cast Atali next turn. It's
Yeah,
going to be
that is indeed 7 mana. That's a Tali mana.
that absolutely is. And let's see. And there are 2 mountains in Mel's list. So even if Cora were to Field of Ruin the second mana, the Zeatora's Proving Ground, Mel would be able to find themselves a mountain, a second mountain, and be able to cast that Atali.
Yeah, I think Mel is going to be okay with their mana now.
Yes.
That invasion really does a lot of work.
It does. Thinking about what land to play here, Cora, if Cora would like to play the Obscura Storefront before attacks, would be able to play the Storefront, sack it, and get it back with Sarah Paragon, uh, gaining a total of 4 life here. Cora not really worried about the life total at the moment, but it might feel pretty good anyway. Field of Ruin looks like going to take care of the Proving Ground. It will be the Proving Ground that will be destroyed. So gaining a little life there on Cora's side.
Mel
Finding a
does indeed
basic.
grab that mountain, knowing full well that they need that second red source.
Yeah, and I feel like Cora might be a little worried here, even though Mel is down to 6 life. So needing to do a little bit of work. And it looks like not going to cast the Atali quite yet. Going to start out with a Sunfall. Make sure that they don't die. And then playing out a Topiary Stomper, which is a very good blocker, like you had said earlier, on the ground. Now that Mel is well past the 7 land threshold. Cora with a Wandering Emperor and Sunfall in hand.
The one great thing about Topiary Stomper in this matchup is that the Wandering Emperor can't flash in and take it out. Vigilance.
Yeah, so but something that Topiary Stomper and Atraxa both have in common, as well as the flip side of Invasion of Zendikar. So the Awakened Skyclave also has Vigilance and Haste.
And the one scary part now is that the Sunfall in Cora's hand. Mel's dedicating a lot to the board, and that Sunfall's ready to come in and sweep it all up.
Yes. We'll see Wedding Announcement and Topiary Stomper, the hits off of the Satali. So this Sunfall would take care of the creatures, but would not take care of the Wedding Announcement. And also Mel does have that incubation token waiting there in the wings to flip over and get in. As Wandering Emperor looks like it may come in here, and it will.
Yeah, if I'm Mel, I you have to consider that there may be a sweeper on Cora's side, so I would not hastily flip that incubation token.
Yes. We'll see. If Cora is going to cast a Sunfall, now would probably be the best time to do it. Although Sunfall does exile, so the flip side of a tally, Primal Hunger would not, or Primal Sickness, excuse me, would not uh, be able to avoid it being indestructible. And we'll see Wandering Emperor. It's definitely interesting seeing Wandering Emperor coming down, making a 2/2. And making yet another 2/2. Now, we know that Mel has double go for the Throat in hand, as well as a Leyline Binding, so that can clean up all of Cora's board. Everything.
Yeah.
Lauren.
Now I'm curious to see the Lauren popping the ley line binding to get the Wandering Emperor back.
Yes. And we'll see. And Mel's saying, okay, this is what's going to happen. So Cora is going to keep the newest Wandering Emperor, which will make yet another 2/2. Now, this Atali does have trample, and it looks like the first go for the throat will land on Lauren. Question is, will the other go for the throat or the leyline binding be cast as herd migration? A great draw here. The question is, will Mel continue to commit resources to this board, or do you think they're going to hold on to this spell?
Oh, this is scary. I think if I'm Mel, I just send the team. I don't risk it. I'm already I may not be ahead in terms of life total, but I'm already ahead on board presence. So I don't know if I'd want to risk potentially getting swept and losing a herd migration.
Oh, it looks like Atali is attacking the Wandering Emperor, and everything else is going face at Cora. So Mel's sending in just everybody. Leroy Jenkins here. And Cora down to 18, and that totally cleans up Cora's side of the board. Mel gets to draw a card off of that wedding announcement because they attacked with way more than two creatures. But this Sunfall is going to come down, and looks like there will be a incubation token with 6 counters on it. But that's it. Cora's out. Cora has a swamp in hand and a roadside reliquary on the battlefield, and needs to draw off it now before this leyline binding takes care of that token. And Sarah Paragon, there probably are worse draws in the deck for Cora.
Oh, absolutely. Sarah Paragon is one of the best cards in Cora's deck. So drawing it now, it's pretty good. Um,
Ooh.
it's a little scary now when there are 5/4/4s across from you, but not the worst.
Yes. Now Sarah Paragon can come down here, and then Cora has the opportunity to wait for attacks and take care of that use the destroy evil to take care of the wedding festivities, and maybe get some profitable blocks, gain
Cora
some
can
life.
also just play the Lauren out and pop it as well.
Yes. Um, but looks like going to just kill one of the creatures while it still has 4 power, and then is going to take care of the wedding festivities right after that. So just the 4/3/3s and a 1/1. Invasion of Zendikar will be played by Mel. They also drew a Topiary Stomper for turn. Gonna play that out as well. Just thin in the deck. Get all the lands out of the deck. Every last one of
Absolutely.
them.
This is a scary position for Mel because that Sarah Paragon, you know, just two swings away and Mel's out of it.
Yeah. Oh, and that wedding announcement belonged to Cora. So once it got blown up from Mel's side, it went into Cora's graveyard. So Cora gets to reap the benefits of having that wedding announcement starting here, and it's going to start making some blockers. Jump blockers, but
Absolutely.
blockers.
Yeah. I mean, Cora only has to survive one more turn. Well, at this point, depending on what Mel draws into. Trying to decide whether or not to ossification. Going to go for it.
Yeah, that 4/4 is big. Mel doesn't have any more cards in hand, and Cora also has no cards in hand. Both players playing off the top of their decks. Oh, but I
That's a
imagine,
good card to get off the top of the deck, though.
yes, you know, both players playing off the top of their decks, but Mel has some real haymakers, and we see one here in Atali Primal Conqueror, the second of this match. We'll see what has Atali hit. It looks like lay down arms, and funny enough, Mel does have a few planes in hand. An invasion of Zendikar. Oh my. The looks like the lay down arms targeting the 1/1 to gain
It's
3 life.
Yeah, it's the life gain that's vital now.
Love that play. Absolutely. So Mel is up to a more comfortable 6 life and is able to survive another attack from that Sarah Paragon. And thinking about it and sending in 2 of the 3/3s here and just going face. Not going to bother with the invasion of Zendikars that are on the battlefield. Mel looking to end this game sooner rather than later. The 1/1 will chump one of them. The Loran going to stay in play, shows a little more value. So Cora drops down to 15. Mel at 6 life. Loran going to tap and drawing card. Oh,
Oh, that
Atraxa.
that is very much not what Cora wanted Mel to draw into, but it's a risk. I mean,
It is.
Mel would have drawn it either way, but that is a risk you take when you let your opponent draw a card.
Yes. Hoping that it works out in her benefit, she's going to play out an ambitious farmhand and most likely another ambitious farmhand. The question is Cora going to try to just draw here, and just try to get something maybe a little more exciting than an ambitious farmhand?
I mean, maybe you draw after you dig the planes out. That way, there's less chance that you draw into those planes.
I like it. And we'll see second ambitious farmhand here coming down and making sure to tap a black, leave up a little more white mana. As said earlier, in the main deck, there's only 2 Kaya Intangible Slayers as far as black cards go. So ambitious farmhand gonna search up yet another plains, and it looks like Roadside Reliquary is going to be the play from the graveyard with Sarah Paragon, and able to make another 1/1. Again, this Atali has trample. This 7/7 has trample and Atraxa, and Cora, I can't imagine feels too good about this one here, taking a look and being like, all right, what did you hit? I see some make disappears, leyline binding, another invasion of Zendikar.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, I do want to point out that ambitious farmhand. We've got Coven.
yes. Yes, there is Coven. So that is a little bit of life gain, which may matter here as Mel is at 3. If there's an answer for this Atraxa, Mel could be in trouble.
Oh, absolutely.
Just the 7/7 dino into the red zone here. Just a 7/7. That's
No big
all.
deal.
No
It's
big
fine.
deal. Yeah, all good. We'll see. Ambitious farmhand number 1 gonna flip over here. And will the second one flip as well? Or is this just to gain a little life? And it looks like, yeah, it's just the one. Just the 3/3.
It's
Jumping in
like only
front.
taking 1 damage once you can gain the life back.
Right. So we'll see 4 damage trampling over here, but gaining 3 life. So only taking 1 down to 14 goes I might as well. Leyline Binding in response is going to try to take care of the Sarah Paragon. Roadside Roller Ray gonna blow up so that Cora can gain a little bit of life off of that, and she's gonna draw Wedding Announcement and then a Lay Down Arms. Now, Lay Down Arms can take care of one problem, but there is another Atraxa in Mel's hand.
Yeah, definitely. Cora is going to need to take out at least the first Atraxa because that's going to be what really, gives Mel an advantage here. If Mel is able to swing once, get that 7 life, that might put Cora out of range for, making it through.
Yes, we'll see Lay Down Arms on the Atraxa. It looks like double make disappear in Mel's hand, but even sacking, there it looks like there's 5, 6, 7, 8 available mana to Cora. So even sacking twice to those 2 make disappears in Mel's hand, it wouldn't have been enough. Sarah Paragon is the follow-up. And is this going to be enough to draw out a make disappear? And it looks like Mel is thinking about it.
And for casualty.
Yeah.
The second make disappear if, Cora decides to pay the 4 is enough to do the counter.
Yeah. And that would take care of that Sarah Paragon, which is one of the ways that Cora had left to gain life and be able to attack in the air. Now, Cora does know about this other Atraxa in hand. There is also a Leyline Binding, a Herd Migration. So Mel's got just a handful of gasoline. It feels like it's only a matter of time until Mel is able to get back into this.
Absolutely. And that Boseiju, perfect target with that wedding announcement.
Yes, and it looks like thinking about whether to take a Plains or a Fiend's Tower. It's going to opt for the basic Plains on Cora's side, so it does come in untapped. Gonna gain the 2 life, as that was played off of Sarah Paragon earlier in the game. So up to 18. And here comes Atraxa number 2 on the side of Mel. Gonna take a look once again at a bunch of cards. And we'll see what Mel comes up with this time.
Well, we see Atraxa number 3.
Yes. They just chain them together. Unleash the Inferno, going to blow up the 1/1 and also going to blow up the ossification that will release the Topiary Stomper.
Release the Stomper.
Releasing the Stomper. And as of right now, Mel is going to need to discard at the end of their turn. So many cards in hand. Not even, it's just being able to have a full grip and a 6 life, was able to hang on and stabilize here. That Itali's getting through for the full 7, so Cora is down to 11. I think we could safely say that, barring a sunfall.
Ooh, that could do something.
That could
It's going to keep Cora in it.
It will. It's the question of how long. With double Herd Migration and Atraxa in hand, I don't know that it is quite enough, but Mel with the nice. And that is an incubation token with 7 counters on it, I believe.
That's correct.
That is a pretty big token. See Leyline Binding coming down to take care of it before it could become a creature. Double Wedding Announcement. Gonna make a couple of tokens here. Hoping to jam up this battlefield, but passing the turn back to Mel, who has 8 cards in hand. Whew.
This Archangel coming down, that's going to do a little damage. I would assume it's going to go to Cora's face, but we may see it take out both tokens.
Yeah, you know what? It looks like you're right. Just going upstairs. So Mel just saying, you know what? You're at 7. Go. Lauren, Ambitious Farmhand, can't even flip for the life gain or anything. It looks like Cora's in a bit of
Paragon
trouble.
back though.
Oh, that's true. Sarah Paragon will be able to gain a little life. Ossification is here. Uh, we'll be able to cast Ossification on the Archangel of Wrath, which is scary knowing that there's another Atraxa in hand.
It is. We also see that Unleash Inferno that, if I'm not wrong, excess damage destroys an enchantment, and
Right.
then we can get the Archangel back. Is that? Am I reading
Ye-
this right?
You are absolutely correct that Unleash the Inferno would release the Archangel of Wrath once again. Without kicker, but it would do it once again. Oh, and going to get
Just
in to draw
just
two
going for that
cards.
card draw at this point.
I like that. Knowing that Cora needs some help to get through this, Restoration of Iganjo and Iganjo Seat of the Empire are the draws here. Unleash the Inferno, and in response, going to flip the Ambitious Farmhand, so at least it can gain a little life and stare down one of these beasts here from the herd migration. Oh,
Popping the ossification.
yeah, in comes Archangel of Wrath. And we know about the Iganjo in hand, which will be able to take care of one of the beasts and one of the 5. Then there's 2 blockers for 2 of the others. So is this some damage getting through? Nope, but just going to let 3 of them through. So going to take 9, but gain 3 here.
We're gonna be at 3 life after this.
Yes, we see Cora dropping to 0, going back up to 3. Mel at 10, who themselves was at 3 life at one point in this game. This is a wild game 1 here in the top 32.
The fact that this is still just game 1 is wild to me. It's like we've been watching this for a minute.
Yes, it has been a minute, and there is Kaya Intangible Slayer. Now, it has hexproof, but is this just too little too late? Can Kaya do enough to get Cora back in this game?
I I don't I don't think Kaya's going to be enough at this point. There's just too many I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
maybe.
oh, no planes left in the deck. Loran's out there, made a 1/1 with lifelink. That would take Cora up to
Mel
4.
Mel cycling away trying to find an answer. Mel only needs to punch through 3 more damage, and
And
Mel
keep
getting all of the cycling lands.
all of the cycling lands. Like, oh my goodness, no kidding. All of the cycling. I believe that was 4 cycling lands in a row. When we see, all right, wedding announcement flipping, making 2 more blockers. So we've got a few 3/3s ready to trade. Now, draw for Mel's turn was the 4th and final Atraxa. So both Atalis have been cast, and we have now seen all 4 Atraxas. But very scary. Archangel of Wrath, there are still 3 more of those in the deck. So we'll
Honestly, at
see.
this point, that Archangel would be enough to end it.
Yes, it absolutely would. And it's a question of what Mel decides to do here. And it looks like they are going to cast Herd Migration once again. So that means 5 lethal attackers out there on the battlefield. Uh Cora once again needs to do something here, scrambling just to stay alive. Has been able to just like scrape through these past few turns, is going to decline the Restoration of Iganjo Chapter 2. Not going to discard anything, would prefer to draw a card. And it looks like, let's see, Ossification
Ooh,
and Wandering
this is a
Elder.
little scary because if Mel finds that Archangel, it could be over. And what do we see on top? Archangel of Wrath.
Yes. And now looks like Cora definitely has to exile artifacts because there is that artifact from the Sunfall hanging out up there and the creatures, but wants to keep the enchantments as these 2 wedding festivities are on Cora's side, and those leyline bindings don't have anything under them. So,
I think Cora has the
ooh.
option. Yeah, never mind. The Wandering Emperor can exile, but it has to be a tapped creature. Is that correct? Yeah.
It does. It has to be a tapped creature, exile target tapped creature to gain 2 life. So we will see the Archangel of Wrath finish off this game number 1. Super exciting between 5-color ramp and Orzhov mid-range. What a game that was.
I I am still shocked by just how long that went. That was just game 1. And here I was
Now,
thinking like, "Oh, this has to be game 2." No.
listen, you sign up for the VML playoffs. This is what we sign up for. It's great.
No, that was a great that was a great game. I was honestly kind of curious how many cards were left in Mel's deck after double Atalis, double Atraxas. That's a lot of sifting through cards and just all of the invasions and ways to cheat out your lands. Like that's there had to be just a handful of cards left, right?
Yeah, I couldn't imagine that. A lot of cycling, a lot of drawing, a lot of big creatures and things like that. Definitely would have. I would have been like neurotically like checking my library. I've been like, okay, I have 21 cards. Okay, I have 16 cards. Okay, I have like.
Yeah, milling yourself is a very valid fear in 5-color ramp.
It absolutely is. Now, I'm very excited. Now, we're looking at sideboarding right now. This Orzhov mid-range deck does have those 2 Breach the Multiverse coming in from the sideboard. So it'll be interesting to see those in action.
The breaches, the duresses, the cruelties,
The
those
F
cruelties take out all those tokens, all of the, yeah.
Oh, the herd migration, yes, and or the sorry,
Wait,
the
is it the herd? Is it oh, sorry, cruelty. Is that mana value or is that power 2 or less?
I believe it's power. Wait, no. Oh, wait, cruelty. No, cruelty of Gix. That's not Gix's command. Cruelty of Gix is the reanimation saga. So,
Kicks does a lot of stuff.
yes, Gix is a very very busy. uh, right. It's chapter 1 is opponent revealing their hand. You get to choose a creature or planeswalker from it, and they discard. Then you chapter 2 is you search your library for a card, put it in your hand, you lose 3 life. And then chapter 3 is putting a target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So if there is a creature in Mel's graveyard, Cora can still play that. I'm also very excited. I'm wondering if we'll see any Elish Norn, Mother of Machines, in action. This as it does shut down all of the enter the battlefield triggers. So and
Yeah.
doubles up on Cora's as well. As we take a look here at the sideboard for the 5-color ramp deck, it looks like keeping the Chrome Host Sea Sharks, Lithomantic Barrage is where they lay. The
Those
Howlpack
disdainful strokes
Piper.
came in.
Oh yes, we saw disdainful strokes come in. No interested in Howlpack Piper, so there's no worries about any sort of like counter shenanigans. And we're here in game number 2, ready to get things going as both players keep.
Yeah,
Um,
those ossifications were out and strokes in was what I saw.
Yes. We see both players getting going. A ambitious farmhand gonna start us off once again, finding a basic plains. So guaranteeing Cora that 3rd land drop that is super important in getting that winning announcement out there. And hopefully a Sarah Paragon hoping to follow up with that as we see the 4th land drawn. And ambitious farmhand getting in the red zone. We see double topiary stomper on the side of Mel, as well as a disdainful stroke and 4 lands. Topiary stomper is great, but isn't going to be able to block for quite a few turns, even with a second copy coming down. If the next follow-up is another topiary stomper, that would only bring Mel to 6 lands on the battlefield. So Cora kind of carte blanche here, able to do whatever she wants.
And yeah, because it's going to be, Mel is at least lucky that it's going to be a second before that wedding announcement flips, pumping up these 1/1s. So Cora's going to get some damage through, but it's not pumped damage just yet.
Yes, it looks like I'm gonna draw a card off of that wedding announcement rather than making a token. We'll see Topiary Stomper number 2 as Atraxa was the draw here. So although the Topiary Stomper will not be able to block this turn, It has opened the door for Atraxa to be cast next turn, and that's pretty scary.
The other thing I want to say is Disdainful Stroke online. We see what Cora has in hand. That's Sarah Paragon probably coming out next turn. But oh, there's options.
There
But the
are
stroke is there.
options. And it looks like Sarah Paragon will be the go-to. Noticing that Mel has left up the 2 mana, Obscura Storefront going to come down, gonna sack it, gain a life, and grab a swamp.
And I think Mel went into this knowing that there are scarier things in Cora's board, post sideboard, than the Sarah Paragon.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We see the Cruelty of Gix in hand as well as the Eternal Wanderer as we see Atraxa Grand Unifier coming down here. The reason for this 5-color ramp deck, gonna take a look at the top 10 uh, and see what there is to find. And we'll see exactly how many cards Mel will get off this track. It's just a simple, 7/7 Death Touch, Lifelink, Vigilance, Flying, draw 5.
Kind
4,
of a big
sorry.
deal,
It was
maybe.
4. It was Plains, Atali, Herd Migration, Leyline Binding. Not a bad grab there as the Plains is going to have to hit the bin, going to discard Mel with 7 in the grip. Obscura Storefront, the draw on Cora's side. So Cora probably saying, all right, that's enough lands here. Although this is Mel has tapped out. Mel played their Atraxa and said, okay, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to get the 7/7 out here. So if Cora's going to do anything big, they should do it now.
Absolutely. It's hard to choose though because cruelty of Gix you can basically duress Mel, but you know that Mel has a lot of stuff going on over there. You could go get something out of the graveyard, but nothing really that important hit the graveyard. It's on the board right now.
I will see Cruelty of Gix coming down. Gonna take a look at the hand, knowing that a tally is in hand, but seeing what else is going on there. It reveals also an Archangel of Wrath that could be taken, but a tally is going to be the pick. Obscura Storefront gonna gain a little more life. So getting that life cushion, knowing that they're probably in for it. She's probably going to need to build up some sort of cushion against Mel's Atraxa here. Oh, is that an Unleash the Inferno coming down?
Sure is. Looks like about to pop. It's hard. Do you pop the cruelty or do you pop the wedding announcement? The cruelty doesn't have a lot of options just yet.
Yeah,
But
and
it could go get the options is the problem.
had to kill one of these smaller things, could not kill the Sarah Paragon, needed to use the Leyline Binding on that in order to have enough leftover damage to kill the Cruelty of Gix. And we see another Ambitious Farmhand, the follow-up, and just an Eternal Wanderer and 3 lands in hand for Cora. Ambitious Farmhand going to start us off, finding yet another Plains from the deck. So feel like we should have like an Ambitious Farmhand count tonight. We have
I'm sure it's over 10 at this point.
I can't count that high, so I would say, yeah, sure. I agree. More than I could count. It would have been
Yes.
ambitious of me to try. So
Nicole, I didn't know you were a farmhand in your free time.
we'll see. Atraxa getting in. No blocks. Nothing can be done. Nothing can stop this Grand Unifier on the side of Cora. And Double or Fiend's Tower. I feel like we're going to see a cycle here, in which we are going to be digging. Gotta find an answer. Cora
That
finds a Sunfall, which would
that is
normally.
an answer. Maybe not the best answer. It gets rid of your own creatures, but it does answer the Atraxa.
And the question is, will Mel allow it with the disdainful stroke? Do you
That's
think Cora might think about trying to bait it out with like an Eternal Wanderer?
ugh, I I am the worst part about the Eternal Wanderer is that you flash your opponent's creatures, so you don't wanna do that. You don't wanna I mean, does it buy you time? Yes. If I'm Mel, I'm just like, "Okay, let it happen."
I mean, it's a good way of decking your opponent, I suppose.
The most painful way of decking your opponent.
We'll see what, but it's definitely coming in now. I mean, Cora did know about, oh, but that Archangel of Wrath is going to finish it off. Cora is at 4 life, and double kicked Archangel of Wrath going to finish things off. So Mel is going to take that one down. 2 games to none over Orzhov Midrange. So 5-color ramp. Atraxa taking the day. But good games to both of our players. Cora, she played fantastic. She was our Orzhov mid-range player. Congrats on making the playoffs. And Mel, congrats on moving on to the top 16. So exciting.
Yeah, that was a great match. Game 1 really was phenomenal.
Oh man, that was such an intense back and forth. Just each player like clawing, like Mel casting a lay down arms on their own creature to gain a little bit of life, and Cora just digging and drawing
Yeah.
cards with Loran and just bringing back. So it was just well played, well navigated by both of our players and by all of our players tonight. It's been quite an evening.
I wanna say, obviously, Ambitious Farmhand was our most played, one of the biggest MVPs, but, I also wanna put it out there, Disdainful Stroke was a surprise MVP for me. I was like, "Whoo, I was not expecting the stroke to be, that that popular," and it did a lot of work.
Disdainful Stroke was a hard carrier tonight. That is absolutely true. As many planes as Ambitious Farmhand found, Disdainful Stroke countered that many large spells. And in a format where a lot of people are trying to cast 4, 5, 7 drops, the Disdainful Stroke is going to shine. And it was definitely like a wild night. Yeah, I would say they're close. They were close MVP. But that'll do it for us here tonight. Once again, thank you all for joining us here at the VML, sponsored by Wizards of the Coast and GLHF. Good luck, high five. You should be following them both. They are phenomenal. Just make sure you're following us right here on Twitch, twitch.tv/VMLMTG. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at VMLMTG and on YouTube. So we're pretty much just everywhere now. But looking forward next week to our top 16 matchups. And then the week after that will be our top 8. So next week's definitely going to be very exciting because in the top 16, our players are all playing for a slot in our first ever VML Championships. So exciting. That will be happening this coming August. We've taken the top 8 from seasons 8, 9, and we'll be taking the top 8 from season 10 and throwing them all into a tournament and saying, play it out. We're going to send 2 of you to the Pro Tour. So super exciting. Besides like all the cool cash and prizes and invites on the line, the invite to the VML Championships is definitely the hot ticket. Cannot wait to see all that happen. And we hope to catch you all again next week. Thank you so much again to Wizards, GLHF, to our casting team, our admin team, all of the players that played tonight and played this season, all of our viewers there at home. And a big thank you to my co-caster, Mishimiko. Is there anybody you want to shout out? We gotta do the little, I can't.
Yeah, something like that. It's hard. It's hard when you're mirrored.
It's hard. Once again, a big happy birthday, Caroline. Party. We love you. And my biggest shout out every week goes to our phenomenal producer, Phoebe, because we wouldn't be where we are without her. She is just the absolute best. She's the glue holding us all together. Like literally, I think I would fall apart if I didn't have Phoebe. So thank you, Phoebe, for being as spectacular as you are every single week. And we hope to see you all next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, twitch.tv/VMLMTG, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Catch it. Bye.